Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DreamHack Atlanta, where we're going to have so much great Rocket League action for all of you lovely people. I'm Wave Punk, and I've got some great friends on this desk here with me. I've casted with both of them online, but for the first time on a desk, I have Achieves and I have Fickle. How are you, my friends?
I'm doing great. I mean, it's good to be out here in Atlanta. It's been a lot of fun. We've had a few hiccups at the start, but we're ready to go.
Yeah, for real. How are you doing, Fickle?
I mean, it's an amazing experience to be here, and this is one of the most stacked tournaments we've ever had in person. You know, if you want to go back to summer, which was like, you know, the breakout event for DreamHack Rocket League, but this is the one that's going to define a lot of teams. Absolutely.
Definitely a stacked bracket. We'll get more into that in a bit, but also Lawler, always by my side at these DreamHack events. How you doing, bud?
Fantastic. Can't wait to be back next to you as always. So glad it finally happened. I always love being next to you, Wave.
Get to be right here and back on North American soil. We got to go and be at the DreamHack in Sweden, the summer DreamHack, where we saw Flipside take the victory over Gale Force. Flipside playing with Mystic for the first time there and coming out and making a statement there against Gale Force. But since then, it's been kind of the flip story. Gale Force has been able to get the victories, and Flipside has had their hands full. We'll be looking to see if Flipside can bounce back here in this event.
Yeah, it was a lot of foreshadowing. Obviously, Flipside wasn't officially sure yet on Mystic, and they're like, you know what, we won it. That's all we need. So they take him, bring him on, and then for Gale Force as well, same situation. Turbo Pulsar wasn't official yet on the roster. He's now part of Gale Force, and the practice that they have been putting in has been on an absolute tear. And that's kind of been the defining moments for both these teams. Flipside not scrimming as much, Gale Force putting all the time they can into every community tournament, and it's really paying off.
Yeah, there's also plenty of North American teams to look out for as well. G2 been struggling a little bit recently, so it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back after a relatively disappointing showing at the X Games, and of course NRG coming off the win there.
For sure, yeah. Now, North America, obviously we're in North America, there's going to be more North American teams here. In Sweden, the only North American team that showed up was Rogue, and they were able to tie for third. But here, like you said, Fickle, such a stacked bracket, so many teams. NRG is here, G2 is here, Selfless, former Selfless, now Renegades are now here, and we also, from Europe, we have Flipside, Gale Force, Envious, and Mocket, all present here at this tournament. So many teams. NRG coming off of the X Games victory is going to be looking to see if they can make a two-time championship here, but so many teams that could possibly take the victory.
I mean, getting into the bracket, they were just released a couple minutes ago. NRG, I believe, has the first seed coming off of their recent X Games victory. But then when you get to the middle of the bracket, like you said, there's so many good, you know, quote-unquote bubble teams. I would not be surprised to see a lot of them take each other out in the middle of the tournament. So we could see quite a bit of upsets in those, like, middle groups.
Yeah, if we've learned anything about live situations, it's that anything can happen here. Any team can show up on the day, and if they're feeling good and the team that we're expecting to win is not, upset city can happen all over the place. I am so excited to see so many teams here that could possibly, we talked about there's like 17 bubble teams or 17 teams that are very competitive here.
Right.
And we're going to have to narrow it down to a top 16 today.
Yeah, someone's going to get their, you know, feelings hurt a little bit, but we saw that as well in DreamHack Summer. Over in Sweden, there was a team, Aero Kings, that knocked out someone for that top 8 spot as well.
It was Method, I believe.
Yeah, it was a complete huge surprise.
Like
Method was a team that was supposed to be top 3 seeded going into the 3rd season of RLCS. So there's a lot of potential for these LAN builds. I was talking to a couple of players while we had some downtime as well, and they're like, it's different. It isn't what we're used to, and that's probably the biggest thing for these LAN tournaments is getting used to that feel of playing in a live environment with this crowd that's already here ready to cheer, so it's pretty cool stuff.
Now, I want to go down the line, Fickle. I'm going to start with you. I want a team for our viewers to watch out for. Maybe it's a team that you think will be making a big upset, or maybe a team that's the team you're picked to watch, who's going to win the whole thing. Who you got?
So I'll go for a bit of a dark horse pick. I really like Ambition coming into this. It's a bit of a bubble team consisting of Prime Thunder, Pepiopi, and
Wonder.
Right? You know, 3 names you might not have heard of if you don't follow the scene very closely, but I think they have a pretty good chance of making a run through it. They do have Envious in their first group, which is pretty unfortunate, but the first 2 teams out of that group still advance, so I think they have a pretty good shot.
What about you, Chiefs?
If I had to pick a dark horse team, I'm curious to see how Rogue plays. They look very, very good.
Really? Rogue is a dark horse?
Yeah, I mean, they looked really good. They weren't able to win either of their matches versus Envious, but they played them very well. So I want to see how Rogue shows up today. If I had to pick a guy to win...
Way too early prediction, I know.
Yeah, way too early. Probably Flipside, though.
And to go with Flipside.
I think they come back and look really strong.
We got Chiefs pulling for the Flipside comeback story. What about you, Lawler?
For me, it's still Envious. I talked about them going into X Games, and I've talked about them again here. They've been very shaky. They've had very high highs and very low lows. They didn't have the best performance at X Games. Obviously, they still placed in that higher echelon, but I want to see if they can give us some consistency. Gale Force has been that team that's been doing it. Envious has the potential, obviously being the previous champs. Let's see if they can do it here.
My dark horse pick, or team to watch rather, is going to be G2. I thought that I said on Overtime I want them to come in 3rd place. They impressed me so much during the Brisk Summer Series, but then have fallen flat in the last 2 events we've seen them in. So I really, really am hoping that they're able to put it together here. When this team is rotating on point, when they are playing as a team, there is nobody better in Rocket League, I believe, than G2 right now.
For sure. I definitely have to agree with that. G2 and Rogue, I mean.
Yeah, Rogue is another one of those teams that I look at, and it's when they're on fire, they are really a force to be reckoned with. They can take down absolutely anybody. But so much top caliber teams here, and you talk to me about these other teams and anyone else that we can like be pulling out for people to be keeping an eye on here.
I mean, like the Chief said, obviously there's Rogue, but there's a couple other NA teams that you may not know of. Obviously, I want to say names, but for the players themselves, you're probably not going to know them. Obviously, Renegades is one that I have a really big eye on.
Yes.
Obviously, it was the old Selfless roster, but the issue is they're playing with a bunch of subs. Timmy and Dapper weren't able to make it, so they're playing with Dude with a Nose and Hot Wheels Sid. And Hot Wheels Sid, to me, has always been a player that has the potential to be the best in the lobby. Like, he pops off and is unbelievably talented. It's just the consistency has been an issue. So for me, it's going to be Renegades. You need to pay attention to that squad.
Yeah, for sure. We can take a look at Renegades later on. But the first match of the day is going to be 2 teams we have not talked about yet. Onslaught and Brace for Impact. Brace for Impact, definitely a name that very few people are going to have heard of. Made up of Heroics, Fireworks, and Black Magic. So 2 players I've definitely heard of. Black Magic, a player I'm not as familiar with. But some good bubble players going up against Onslaught, which is Alex Storm, Husky, and RVP. Also bubble players. So a two good rosters that could make waves here in this tournament. But I believe these 2 teams, you could put them about at the same level. It should be a good match.
Yeah, both at about the same level. They're also in a pool with NRG. So
yes.
These guys, like, this game means a lot. It's pretty much the tiebreaker of who's going into that next round. So a lot of implications on for this one. Husky, if you guys don't know him, he actually was a sub at the RLCS Season 1 LAN for Exodus, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yep.
And he's like the best 22-year-old washed up Rocket League player.
Washed up.
And he will say that. It's even in his Twitter bio, so you can't deny it.
Yeah. I mean, that is the truth of esports. The careers are so short around here. But Achieves, thoughts on this match? Onslaught versus Brace for Impact. Give me a player or a thing for the viewers to pay attention to in this matchup.
Well, I played Heroics back after RLCS Season 3. We played a couple 1v1 drop shots. So, I mean, he's got pretty solid walls. But, I mean, overall, Onslaught, I think RVP and Husky are really going to be the ones to watch for them.
Okay. Any keys to victory for this particular matchup, guys?
Well, I would like to point out that Alex Storm is a very rare sight because he is a keyboard mouse player. So he might actually be the only one in the field today that is on the keyboard mouse. He came out to PAX South, I believe, at one of the smaller tournaments there, and watching somebody play keyboard and mouse for Rocket League is mind-blowing. If you've never seen it in person, like, you watch them play and you can actually tell no difference between the control and the keyboard, but when you're in person seeing them clickety-clackety, it's quite impressive.
That's the technical term for everybody who doesn't know it. It is clickety-clackety.
Definitely. Which player was that again?
Alex Storm.
Alex Storm. So keep your eye on Alex Storm moving forward. See if he can hang with the controller boys here. And guys, Onslaught versus Brace for Impact. First match of DreamHack Atlanta. Give me predictions. Who's got this one?
I'm probably going to have to go to Onslaught. I gave Husky a rough time, but he has still kept with it throughout the season. He doesn't play as much as he used to. RVP has also been a player that's been just looking for a solid squad. Unfortunately, he's just subbing in right now for Onslaught. He actually plays for another team called Amethyst. Yeah, which is a gem, I guess. Good name, I guess.
Purple.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, but he's grinded. Like, he's one of those players that's one of the most hardworking, and hopefully it pays off for him, but just the ability to really put in that effort does pay dividends. And we see that in scrims and otherwise. So for me, it's going to be Onslaught. It'll be close, though.
Yeah, I'm also on the Onslaught train. Untested, unseen player for me in Black Magic. So depending on how he shows up, it should be a fairly clean victory, though, I think, for Onslaught.
Alrighty.
Yeah, same for me as well. I'm going to go with Onslaught. I think that the opposing team can probably take one game off, but Onslaught players have been playing competitive Rocket League for a bit longer of a time. And without further ado, we're going to get into our first game of DreamHack Atlanta Rocket League.
And it starts off well for Brace for Impact. Black Magic through 1, actually through 2 cleanly. It's quick pass out to middle and no problem cleared away by Husky. Slowly around the side. Good early pressure being applied by the blue squad. RVP patiently getting in the way. Black Magic, nice stuff as well. He's starting off really good here. Heroics from half field, went for the block and just couldn't come up with a clear. Actually probably good for Onslaught as he's got a breakaway all the way down. Alex Storm takes his time, no problem into the lower right.
The whiff right there from Onslaught is going to lead to this goal. I'm sorry, the whiff right there from the blue team.
Yeah, Brace for Impact.
Right, Brace for Impact. I was having a hard time because they abbreviated it. He went up for the aerial on the wall, and that's just a bit of first game nerves coming out, and just completely whiffs it. I don't think you would miss that when you're sitting in your home, you know, on your regular settings.
That's one of the things about LAN environment. You have to get used to being in a completely new area, and both of these guys, this is really their first super big LAN, so we'll have to see how they all show up here. But again, some early pressure being picked up from Brace for Impact off kickoff. This is one higher on that back wall. Solid play from RVP off the back wall. Tough to come up with those clears sometimes. Alex Storm actually going to give way to his teammate behind him. Just not quite comfortable going for that challenge against the side wall. And Black Magic early on, I mean, we were all kind of wondering how he'd show up, but he's done a fairly nice job getting a lot of possession for Brace for Impact and setting them up nicely.
Yeah, it seems like the all-offense show for Brace for Impact. Even on that goal that Onslaught scored, they were on the defensive end and then just capitalized off a mistake that Brace for Impact made. But it looks like we're finally going to get to see Onslaught play some offense.
Well, we were thinking that. A couple of tough touches. RVP just lets that one go. Not worth the boost. Husky out of the sidewall now. Heroic's going to delay the push a little bit. The net open for just a second. Husky maybe trying to go for the touch off the top of the car. There's it out to mid. Wants to center. It's through. It's 2-0.
Just as Lawler pointed out, do not count out Husky, because this guy, as you see it in his title there, RLCS Season 1 Elite, being the sub for Exodus. So he has been at RLCS and played at that level for a very, very long time. You know, he kind of dropped out of the scene for just a little bit, probably for some personal issues, but, you know, it's a little bit like riding a bike. You don't lose that much skill from not playing for so long.
We've got just about 2 minutes into our first match here. This is a best of 3, so you do have to play fairly well throughout all of these 15 minutes, or else you could find yourself making a bit of an early exit. As Husky now, solid through 2. Can he find the touch? Cannot. Heroic's able to come over the clear here, pass out to mid, just a little bit out of reach, and it will go right back into the blue half. Alex Storm, a nice high setup, well out of reach for Heroics, and very thankful RVP came up empty right there, as it was dangerous. There's a tap from the ceiling, just able to get the nose on it from Black Magic. As we approach the halfway point, the Onslaught offense starting to come back to life here. Early game, a lot of Brace for Impact, and now they've figured it out. They're hanging out on the blue half a little more.
Yeah, both teams are actually making quite a bit of mistakes, and I would really attribute that to being on land. There was a misrotation from Heroics where he just took a very, very wide turn in the net, and he should have gotten scored on off the aerial. But again, these teams are kind of feeling out the main stage, but we see Onslaught managing to hang on. It's really going to come down to these teams that aren't like super tested, battle tested, to be how well they'll perform on stage the first time. Some people really like the limelight, others just are really weak.
Takes a little bit.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit to get into it, as actually RVP wanted the dunk. Black Magic gonna shut him down. And again, the offense just keeps coming to life. Husky off the back wall. Welcome back.
Again, Husky, welcome back is correct. He's going to pass this right off the backboard. Instead of rotating out, he's going to stay up onto the backboard to receive that pass. I don't think the member from the opposing team knew that he was up there. And that's quite a difficult shot to do, because you have to jump off the wall, catch it off of the backboard, and hit it back towards the net. You have to figure that angle out pretty quick, and Husky is not losing a step.
Crazy 50-50. Once again, we find ourselves in this blue corner. Brace for Impact a little bit strapped for boost, as you see right there in the lower right-hand corner. Off the back wall again, and RVP just not able to get the angle of the car right. And now if you're Brace for Impact, you at least want to find one goal to really get yourself moving into game 2 with a little bit of something, because you started off really well and just couldn't find the net, and moving on, it's tough to get shut out in your first match.
Yeah, again with the defensive mistakes from Brace for Impact, you see we call it a double commit, where you send 2 people at the ball. In Rocket League, a team of 3, if you send 2 people at the ball, you do the math. That's more than half of your team going towards the net, and it just leaves some really bad situations for that one player back. So you have to cut that down, and that's one of the quintessential errors on defense.
A foray out into the orange zone. Alex Storm able to type that one away, no problem. Pass forward from Husky out into space. Actually has a chance to go for this, and RVP just goes for this straight up challenge against Black Magic, and it's high off that back wall. Went for a pinch there, got just a little bit. As they finally go back into the blue side, and that's the first one. Black Magic gets him on the board. All
right, the rookie finally gonna find the net for Brace for Impact. And this is just, oh yeah, again, double commit there, and it looks like the member from Onslaught that was supposedly going after it did not hit it as well, and it seems like players are asking for a service switch. We're going to keep playing this out, but Onslaught does have the lead.
35 seconds remaining here in the first game of DreamHack Atlanta, and hello, RVP gets one off the kickoff. You see him in the middle right there. He's ready.
I really like RVP's morale boost in the middle. You know, it's kind of a bit of a meta game, you know, the game within the game, that the players need to have like an in-game leader that really pumps people up when you do well and even when you don't do well. And I'm really liking that RVP is going to be that one throwing out fist pumps when they score.
Yeah, RVP definitely a passionate player in Rocket League. It's always fun to get to see him in LAN. And Fireworks now, a chance to get them back within 2 with 20 seconds. That's a great pass. The shot just wide. Black Magic been playing so well here in game 1, but unfortunately comes up empty this time around. The second setup from Heroics just going to be wide. And the final 7 seconds going to tick down, and it should be a nice clean victory here for Onslaught in game 1.
Yeah, no possible way that Brace for Impact comes back into this, but hopefully they learned a lesson, and that playing in a live setting is very, very different from what you're used to in your home, in your jams.
Yeah, I like that, at home in your jams. But they've got to be feeling good. They take the first match, and they look to move on forward in their group, as now Brace for Impact have got a little bit of work to do here. I mean, they started off so well. The first maybe 1-2 minutes or so felt really solid for them. They got a lot of pressure off the kickoffs, and then after Onslaught were able to figure out how to negate that early game pressure, I mean, they just spent almost the entire match back on their own side.
And this is quite an important match, as the analyst mentioned, because they're in the same group as NRG, and only 2 teams can advance from this group. So when these guys get off of this match, they will have to go play NRG, which I don't think either of them have that favorable matchup. So winning this game against each other is really going to decide who advances.
For sure, and we'll have to see how this one gets set as you see everybody across your screen. They're all having a good time, and that's one of the best parts about LAN. Regardless of whether you're winning or losing, you're having a real good time out here. It's fun to always get to meet everybody. RVP saying, come on, man, you ready to go? Let's do this one. So talking a little bit more about RVP, we've seen him a lot across pretty much the beginning of Rocket League. He's gone from roster to roster, and this is really his first big event for him.
He has been around for, you know, a very long time. I believe even longer than I have been around, and I've you know, seen a couple of blocks. This guy, always a big contributor to the conversation as well on Reddit, Twitter, whatever have you. He has not lost his passion for this game, and I'm really proud that he's getting his opportunity to finally show up. He's played in a couple of the Midwest events and done pretty well, but this is his, I think, first 3v3 setting that he's actually gotten to play on the stage in front of the crowd.
Yeah, I think that actually is correct. And Fireworks, he did a lot of work for Denial in this past season. He's over on the Brace for Impact side, and Fireworks, who did he play on before he coached for Denial? Do you remember?
Deception. I think it was Deception.
That's a good roster off the top of your head. You've got quite a head on your shoulders, Mr. Platypus. But yeah, Fireworks and Black Magic, he performed very well there in that game 1, as we said, completely untested here in a LAN environment, and he's definitely performing very well. It would get plenty of setups for that Brace for Impact squad, but here we are into game number 2. And again, this time the kickoff going to be favoring the Onslaught squad. Patient pressure being applied by Husky out of the corner. Soft tap off the back wall. Down, shot turned away, and solid defense from Brace for Impact. Did have to struggle a little bit off that back wall in game 1, and I think they pay a little bit more attention to it here in game 2.
Right, I was going to mention Husky took that exact same positioning in game number 1, and it led for a goal for Onslaught. So we'll see if Brace for Impact actually learned anything from that match. Another interesting point is that there are no Octanes on the side of Onslaught, which is pretty rare in this day.
Yeah, that is a more North American team phenomenon. There's significantly less Octanes in NA as Husky rolls one to the right side.
Husky has so much time to work with this shot. He's going to see that the goalie right here is not challenging him, and he has a lot of space to work with. And actually very smart as well to place it low, because normally when the goalie sees you setting up on a shot like that, they're expecting top left, top right. And you want to pre-jump, and that's exactly what the goalie did. I don't think he had a chance either way, but Husky's going to finish that ball clean. And I think he has, what, 3 out of the 5 goals that Onslaught scored already?
He's got at least 2. I missed the second one for Onslaught. I don't remember who scored that, but this one just able to get turned away by Heroics. Fireworks, great pass upfield, wants the left side, and just off target. Off the nose of Heroics. Second chance going to get turned away here. Is now Onslaught's defense. tasked with getting it out of their own half. RVP, bit of an awkward touch. Heroics right on top of it to throw it right back in. And Husky also backwards. And thankfully, Alex Storm patiently in net, able to find a bit of time to buy for his teammates to rotate and get back in position as that one comes up empty.
Yeah, I think Husky is stuck in 2015 with the breakout meta. He doesn't realize that that Batmobile is the way to go nowadays. But we're getting finally into that stage, what we like to call ping pong, or players smacking it as hard as they can into each other's half, and it just keeps going back and forth. I think that's a little bit of a sign of comfort coming out from the players.
Heroics just able to get the nose on it. Actually going to be favoring Black Magic here. Went for the bump and just opts to steal the boost. And boost control is so important in Rocket League here as well, because you limit your opponent's boost, you limit what all of their options are in a big whiff. Leaves Black Magic a chance to buy time for his teammates to get in a more ready position on the defensive half. Soft tap forward, tries to keep it close as he's got nobody to throw it to forward, and that's not a bad idea for Black Magic, because you can get too antsy and just blast the ball away.
I haven't seen any kind of demolition attempts or bumping from these teams. I think they're really, really, really focused on not looking like a fool on the main stage, that they don't want to get caught out of rotation and just whiff a really silly clear or something like that. But that kind of lack of confidence really hurts your play, because you're not playing to your full potential.
3 players bunched up into the corner. Black Magic noticing it, tries to go back to net, and he's now very empty in the gas tank. The big 0 in your lower right-hand corner, so he's basically a lame duck over on the blue half, and it's going to be all on Fireworks and Heroics to keep the defense intact. This just takes a long shot at the net. We're about 3 minutes into this one. This one seems to have gone a little bit quicker than our previous match, but still Onslaught comfortably on offense.
Double touch.
2-3 touches, and Alex Storm cams up empty, but thankfully the follow-through comes through. It's 2-0.
RVP with the control off the wall is able to tap it once, twice, and a third time and score it himself. I actually did not see that. I think it was Alex Storm coming behind him that wanted to tap that ball in, but RVP's like, no, I'm just going to do it all myself. 2-0 lead for Onslaught, and that was quite impressive.
Yeah, definitely some great car control there. Is now RVP again off the kickoff. The kickoff success being more and more limited as the series has gone on for Brace for Impact. Pass out to mid. There's the pass outward from Husky, but just a little bit out of reach of RVP, and the offense will stall for a brief moment as Black Magic finds a clear. Heroics now tasked with it off the back wall. Poor touch, and now Heroics in a one-on-one. Fake, goodbye, and into the top right. Hello, Heroics.
Heroics, I would say, probably has the most experience on the Brace for Impact team. And the fake in Rocket League is so humiliating because it shows how much of in the head you were of the defense. Because the thought is, oh, he's going to try to cut it right now. I'm going to attack it and be one step ahead of him, and then he does not touch it at all, and then you just look like a very silly player.
The game within a game is the best part of the game itself. If I say game one more time, I get a prize, but Husky now towards the left side, kept away by Black Magic. Performing admirably all around is Black Magic. Very impressed with the play we've seen out of him. Unfortunately, his team still needs to find one more goal to have a chance at overtime here and keep this series going, as that's a great infield pass and right by it. And a huge missed opportunity here for Brace for Impact, as Heroics going to be challenged up in that corner. And the offense desperately going to be trying to push forward now as time becomes a factor, and Husky with a long clear out into space. Just about 30 seconds remaining. Alex Storm stealing away that corner boost and wants to go for perhaps a couple of bumps. There's a touch up high. It's a difficult shot for Husky. He will come up empty. Heroics no boost off the back wall. Makes a solid tap to delay things, but probably not enough, as now Alex Storm gets through one, and Husky will just shut that one down. And if you're Onslaught, sit back in the net at this point and make sure you don't give up one, and that should do it here for game number 2. But anything can happen. 5 seconds. Fireworks aggressive challenge. Heroics tries to set one up. There it is in front of the net. Alex Storm just going to knock it down, and that will not do it as Black Magic back on the blue half.
Well, I mean, game's over.
There it is.
Yep, there it is.
Onslaught.
Finally, Onslaught is going to take the victory in our very first game of DreamHack Atlanta, and doing it in a pretty convincing fashion as well. 4-1 victory in that one, and a 2-1 victory in that, with a very nice play from RVP in the middle of the series. A nice way to start off. I thought that game was actually pretty competitive for some of the matches that we could have seen in the very first one.
Yeah, that second match was definitely much closer than the first one. You definitely got the sense that Onslaught settled in a little bit quicker, but Heroics, good play. Also for Black Magic, good showing from him as well for being completely untested, and Fireworks, of course, the denial coach, and that's actually him right there on your screen. So a good showing overall from Brace for Impact. Unfortunately, they come up empty. Onslaught take the first win of DreamHack Atlanta. Let's go back and talk to everybody else at the desk because they were sitting right next to us and talking about it as well.
Yeah, I'd really like to know. I really like to know the opinion of you over there, right?
Yeah, we certainly were. It was exactly as expected from all of your predictions. You all predicted that Onslaught would come out with the victory, and they do here 2-0. But I will say though, the player I was most impressed with was the player I had the least expectations for, and that was Black Magic. He was a shining light on the Brace for Impact roster, and the games did not feel decidedly unfair. They felt like close matches.
Yeah, the back and forth, obviously the first game, there's some feelers that come out, and it just seemed to be that the Onslaught team felt a little bit more comfortable at the beginning, and they had that ball rolling. Obviously, there was some offense and defense on both sides, but primarily Onslaught had all the offense. They kept that team on their back heel, and the courageous plays as well coming out, like Husky able to go on that back wall and play it back in, like those plays you normally don't see out of first-time land people, and he did just that. So fantastic plays coming out.
Yeah, good team synergy there from Onslaught as they come out with the victory, and we'll get into talking about that match in a little bit here. We're going to bring on one other person, well, the last of our crew that we're going to be seeing today. Quinn, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. Glad you're here.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome being here.
And also, on the last but not least, here on the end, Husky. Playing in that game there, how did you feel, man?
Nervous. This is my first time on a big stage, so I'm really feeling it.
Do this with your hand for me, bud.
Yeah,
you can see it. Can you see it on?
Yeah, so
you can see it on there too.
So my question is, how do you make that shot off that back wall despite doing that?
Oh man.
I don't know. I kind of closed my eyes. I just kind of prayed.
Man, you should just wear a blindfold.
I'm gonna start doing that. Yeah.
Oh, those some pretty crazy plays, and it was funny when you made the play. Chief said, "Welcome back, Husky," because we've seen you around the Rocket League scene, but as you said, this is kind of the biggest place we've seen you play. So how did it feel to get this first match out of the way? Do you think the nerves are gonna be gone?
Yeah, they should settle out now. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, being the first time, other than the Midwest LAN I played at, the 2v2, this is the first time, especially in the 3v3 scenario where it's more is on the line. A lot more is on the line.
How are you feeling about the Onslaught roster?
Good, actually. This is the first, we played 2 days ago. This is the first time I played with Alec. So we played for like 2 hours. That was it. And I haven't played with RVP in a while either. So other than the hour of practice we got in before then, we're pretty new.
It was really fun watching RVP be so engaging on stage.
Yeah, he's definitely got the personality.
Yeah, what's it like being on comms with him in game?
Good. He keeps we had a really good, we were really positive throughout the whole time. Like even when we got scored on, we were like, whatever, we're on stage, it's fun. And so I think that helped a lot too, is just being level.
Cool, awesome. So expectations looking forward to the rest of the tournament. You get the first win under the belt here, but this is just round of 32. I believe you guys have to still play NRG in this group, but getting this win is they said it during the game that because I think there's only 3 of you guys.
We have a three-team pool, so I'm pretty sure we're top 2.
Yeah, at this point, like that victory was maybe the big deciding factor because NRG and then whoever it was.
Yeah, that was my thought going into it too. I was like, oh,
yeah.
3-team pool looks good, but at the same time, like, oh, like, crap.
I mean, obviously, we have expectations of NRG being the favorites. Obviously, they're number 1 seeded. What are the things that you're like expecting going into that game? And obviously, they have the advantage probably in your eyes. But what are you going to do to combat that?
I don't know. Just stay positive. Just have fun. Just have fun. I mean, that's the main point here is that we're just here to have a good time, and if we win, great. But yeah, that's about it.
Fantastic. Well, any shout outs I got before I let you go?
I missed a shout out a long time ago in my first RLCS, so I'd like to shout out my friend Tony.
Okay.
He was really mad at me when I didn't shout him out that like, what was it, a year ago?
Yeah, Tony, so. it's been over a year, but Tony, congratulations on your shout out, bud.
People don't forget, man. People don't forget.
Yeah, man, they're like elephants. It's
crazy.
And
Dylan. The only reason I got here is because my buddy Dylan drove me. That's the only reason I'm here.
He almost forgot Dylan.
Yeah, now he's gonna be pissed at me.
A year later, he's gonna shout out Dylan. It's gonna be an ongoing cycle.
Be the ongoing trend. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining us up here, Husky.
Man.
Good luck in the rest of the tournament.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic stuff.
Good to go.
You can stay. You can go either way.
I mean, hang out.
Either one's fine
Don't
with
leave us yet, Husky.
We've got some great Rocket League action coming up for you guys. This was the first of many matches for today. We'll have some more coming up. We're gonna take a quick break, but we'll be right back with DreamHack Atlanta.